Hello, first grade scientists, and welcome to lesson 2, where we will be talking about animals' inherited traits. In our last science lesson, we talked about how offspring often have similar traits to their parents. Well, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that today. So I'd like to introduce you to a new vocabulary word, inherited. Can you say the word inherit? Let me hear you. Inherit. Now say inherited. Inherited. Awesome. So traits can be inherited from your family members. You can inherit traits from your parents, your grandparents, or even your great-grandparents. Many times family members have similar traits to other family members. If you take a look at these pictures of all different families, you'll see that the offspring, the children in each family, share traits with their parents and their grandparents that I'd like to share with you. And that read aloud is called Big Ears. It's a read along mystery. It's a story by Erin van Rheenen, illustrations by Deanna Ewers.
Hi, it's Doug. Today you're going to read a story about someone named Amy. Amy's ears stick out a little bit. Sometimes other kids ask her, "Where did you get those big ears?" You're going to read about how Amy figures out where she got her ears. But you aren't just going to read. Sometimes you'll get up and do something. You'll look for clues or stop to talk about your ideas. Let's turn the page and get started.
Look! The babies have ears like their mothers. Maybe babies get their ears from their parents. Let's get up and move. Hi, my name is Amy. Do you notice anything special about me? That's right. My ears are kind of big, and they stick out. Sometimes other kids say, "Hey, where did you get those ears?" I wonder the same thing myself. Where did I get my ears? I live on a farm. I look at the animals. I notice their ears. There are many different kinds of ears. Turtles have ears you can't even see. Hey, baby turtles! Where did you get those ears that are inside your head? Here's our dog and her puppies. The puppy's ears are furry and floppy. Look what happens when our dogs run. Hey, puppies! Where did you get those furry, floppy ears? Out in the field, we have a mother cow and her baby. The baby cow is called a calf. Look, the calf's body is white, but its ears are black. Hey, little calf, where did you get those ears? Let's stop and talk. Look at the ears of these mother animals and their babies. What do you notice? Where do you think the babies got their ears? Why do you think that?
Okay, so
click the arrow on the right to continue.
So as you discuss, as you talk about the ears of these babies and their mothers, I want you to challenge yourself to use some of our new vocabulary words. Can you use the word traits and the word inherit or inherited? Okay. Now find somebody near you. If you're home, find someone in your house. If you are at school, you're going to talk to a neighbor, and I want you to share what you notice and where you think the babies got their ears. Remember to use the words inherit and the word traits. I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. Ready, set, talk. All right, time's up. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Let's keep reading our book. Actually, before we go on, let's talk about this all together. So did you say something like, the baby cow inherited its long, pointy ears from its mother, and the baby dog inherited its long, floppy ears from its mother? They have traits in common. Did you say something like that? If you did, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, now let's keep reading.
Look! The babies have ears like their mothers. Maybe babies get their ears from their parents. Let's get up and move. Let's be turtles. Move like you have a shell on your back.
Okay, so right now I'm going to ask you to slowly stand up, push in your chair, and in just the space right behind your chair, move like you have a shell on your back. But make sure that you stay in your spot right behind your chair. Excellent job, everybody. Look at those turtles with those shells on their back. Now, freeze, stand up. Let's hear what we'll be doing next.
Now be a dog. Wag your tail.
Okay, right in your same spot. Be a dog and wag that tail. Oh, look at all those doggies out there. Nice job, everybody. Let's hear what we'll be doing next. Freeze and listen.
Now let's be cows. Sniff for grass with your big snout.
Okay, so instead of going all the way down the ground, we're just going to pretend that the grass is right in front of us, okay? So you could just sniff while you're standing. Good job, little cows. Let's keep listening to this story. You can sit back down now.
I run to tell my mother what I figured out. She says, "You're right. We get a lot from our families." I ask my mother, "Why aren't my ears like your ears?" My mother says, "Let me show you something." She takes me to the back room. Our cat just had kittens. She asks, "Are all the kittens like their mother?" Let's stop and talk. How are the kittens like their mother? How are the kittens different from their mother? Click the arrow on the right to continue.
Okay, so again, you're going to talk to somebody next to you. Discuss the traits that the kittens have. How are they alike and different from their mothers? Make sure again to use those brand new vocabulary words, traits and inherit or inherited. I'll set the timer again for 30 seconds. Ready, set, talk. One, two, three, eyes on me. Did you say something like, well, these kittens all have some traits that are similar? For instance, they all have tails, they all have pointy ears, they all have paws, so they all inherited those traits from their mother. But some of their traits are different. For instance, this kitten has black fur. This kitten has orange fur. So maybe those kittens inherited those traits from a different family member, like from their father, or maybe even their grandmother or grandfather, or maybe even their great-grandmother or great-grandfather. Let's keep listening to this story.
I look closely. Most of the kittens look a lot like their mother, but a few look different. Their colors don't match. Maybe those kittens look more like their father, Mom says. Or maybe the kitten's grandparents were those colors. Just then, my grandfather comes to visit. He wants to see the kittens too. My mother asks me, "Do you notice anything about your grandpa?" I can't believe I never noticed before, but Grandpa has big ears like mine. Grandpa says, "We have the same ears. My dad had ears like that too. It's because we're family." The end.
Okay, scientists, now we have yet another book to read, but this book is about a teacher, a first grade teacher that you may know, Miss Palma. So let's read this book together. Miss Palma's Family Traits. Miss Palma and her sister are the offspring of their mom and dad. Miss Palma and her sister inherited some traits from their mom and some from their dad. Here's Miss Palma's dad. Here's Miss Palma's mom. Here's Miss Palma's sister, and here's Miss Palma. One trait that offspring inherit from their parents is hair color. Miss Palma's dad's hair is gray now, but it used to be blonde. Her mom's hair is brunette or brown. Whose hair did Miss Palma inherit? Go ahead and answer that right now. Whose hair did Miss Palma inherit? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. Miss Palma inherited her blonde hair from her dad. Whose hair did Miss Palma's sister inherit? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. Miss Palma's sister inherited her brunette hair from her mom, maybe. Although now when I'm looking really closely after reading that last book, I'm thinking they're both brown, but they're not exactly the same color. So I'm almost wondering if maybe Miss Palma's sister inherited her lighter brown hair from another family member, like maybe a grandparent or a great-grandparent. Let's keep reading. Another trait that offspring can inherit from their parents is eye color. Miss Palma's dad has brown eyes. Miss Palma's mom has hazel eyes. Whose eyes did Miss Palma inherit? Take a look at Miss Palma's eyes, look at her dad's eyes, look at her mom's eyes, and call out whose eyes did Miss Palma inherit? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. Miss Palma inherited her hazel eyes from her mom. Whose eyes did Miss Palma's sister inherit? We'll take a look at Miss Palma's sister's eyes. Looks like they're brown. Does her mom or her dad have brown eyes? Okay, call it out. Whose eyes did Miss Palma's sister inherit? 3, 2, 1. Miss Palma's sister inherited her brown eyes from her dad. Offspring inherit many other traits from their parents, such as the shape of their face, their smile, their nose, their ears, whether they are tall or short when they grow up. Take a look at Miss Palma and her sister. What other traits would you say they inherited from their mom or dad? Think. Okay, now turn and tell somebody next to you, or you could even whisper into your hand. What other traits do you think Miss Palma and her sister inherited from their mom or their dad? I'm going to set the timer for 30 seconds. All right, time's up. Stop, look, and listen. So one thing that I noticed is Miss Palma's sister and Miss Palma both seem to have the same shape of their face as their mother. Look at their cheeks. Aren't their cheeks sort of similar? So perhaps they inherited their cheeks from their mom. Now you have an activity to do. If you're at home in your Google Classroom, you will find this sheet. It says Lesson 2, My Inherited Family Traits. If you're in school, your teacher will pass it out to you. The directions say, draw each trait below, then complete each sentence to go with it. So I'm going to show you, I started filling one out as if I was Miss Palma. I was kind of just playing make-believe and pretending I was Miss Palma since we just read that book about her. So I'll pull up the sheet. Let's see. And of course, so now I'm pretending I'm Miss Palma. Okay, so I'm Miss Palma. Hi, everyone. So of course, the first thing we do is always the same. We pick up our pencil and write down our name. So the first thing I did was write Miss Palma. Then I wrote today's date. Your date might be different. This is the date that I made this video, but check what your date is. Okay, now I've already started this sheet. I already drew my pictures. I drew what my eyes look like. I drew what my hair looks like. I drew what my mouth looks like and my ears. Now I'm ready to write my sentences. So my eyes are like, well, do you remember in the book about Miss Palma, who her eyes were like? They were like her mom's, right? So I'm going to write, my eyes are like my mom's. Notice that there's an apostrophe there because it shows us that the eyes belong to her mom. My eyes are like my mom's eyes. And then our sentence ends with punctuation, in this case, a period. My hair is like, well, let's see. In that book about Miss Palma, we learned that she inherited her blonde hair from her dad. Although her dad's hair is gray now, when he was younger, it used to be blonde. So I'll write, my hair is like my dad's, dad apostrophe S, my dad's hair, period. My mouth is like, Now, when I spoke to Miss Palma about this question, I said, Miss Palma, I don't feel like your mouth really looks like your mom or your dad's. Did you inherit that trait from somebody else? Miss Palma has such a big, beautiful smile. And she said, as a matter of fact, I think my mouth looks a lot like my grandmother's mouth. She and I have the same smile. So I'm going to write, my mouth is like my grandma's mouth, period. And then I asked Miss Palm about her ears. I said, whose ears do you think you inherited? And Miss Palma replied, well, to tell you the truth, I don't think my ears look like anyone in my family, which sometimes happens because maybe she inherited her ears from like her great-great-great-grandmother who she's never met before. So here, let's see, we would write, my ears are like no one else's in my family, period. Okay, so now it's time for you to work on this activity sheet yourself. So when you go off to work, make sure that you draw each trait. Draw your eyes, draw your hair, draw your mouth, draw your ears, and then you're going to complete these sentences to tell who you think you inherited those traits from. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining me for science today. I'll see you soon.